Hi everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to the show with myself, Council Premier, with co-host Council Underwood. So today we'll be talking about the Shamima Begum case, a case that's sort of like divided a lot of opinions in Tower Hamlets of a local girl, Shamima, who was born here, who travelled to Syria, got involved with or got mixed up with ISIS. And now the government has stripped her of her citizenship, and there was a recent case where she wasn't allowed to return to apply to fight for her citizenship to be restored. So there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of people asking questions as to what happened, how it happened, whether we could avoid these things happening again. So we're joined today by Tasnime Akunjee, a lawyer who's been involved in this matter since 2015. And we're going to just go through that. So the first section is, the first section we're going to discuss the questions. What could Tower Hamlets Council have done to prevent this from happening? And linked to that is the prevent program working. So I'll move over to Andrew. Andrew, do you want to just, I know we both had discussions on this. This case wasn't isolated. There were other cases in that school. Is that correct?
I think his microphone might be off.
Andrew, I think your mic. No. So what I'll do is I'll go to Tasneem, and while Andrew works out as well. So Tasneem, do you want to answer that question?
Well, before you can say what can someone do about a problem, you have to identify whether A, there is a problem, and B, what did the relevant authorities know about the nature of the problem before it metastasized into this situation of a number of girls leaving Syria. So really the sort of story starts with a girl called Shamima Begum, not Shamima Begum. There are two, so they're phonetically similar but spelled differently, and they're not related. Now, Shamima Begum, she left to Syria in December 2014. She was close friends with Shamima, Khadija Sultana, Amira Abbasi, and a number of other girls. So having left in 2014, the school became aware of that because the counterterrorism police were involved. They were involved with her family, father, and were trying to take it beyond just a missing person scenario and to take it into a full-blown investigation. So the school had full knowledge that Shamima Begum had gone over to Syria in 2014. Part of that investigation process meant that questions were asked around, well, who's this girl, Shamima Begum, and who are her friends, her close friends, and then her wider friends. And the school helped identify a cadre of schoolgirls, including the three that eventually left, and passed that information on to police. The police then decided that they would question this cohort, and they did so during January and February of 2015. They did so without the knowledge of the parents. The parents weren't told that their own children were being questioned by police. The school stepped in actually to occupy the role as appropriate adult. They basically stepped in as if they were the parents, and that there's a big question mark as to whether that was in any way appropriate. But somewhere down the line, when these girls are being questioned, the police suddenly realized that actually, under the rules that they work under, they ought to really inform the parents of these girls that they're being questioned, particularly the fact that they're being questioned in a school environment by police. So they formulated some letters, and on school premises, the police officers handed those letters to the girls to give to their parents. Not a single one of those letters got to the parents at all. And very soon after that, the three girls, that's Shamima Begum, Khadija Sultana, and Amira Abbas, they formed a plan to go over to Syria, and they managed to do that, basically, under the nose of the school and the police as well. So what was the problem there, really? Where was the interventions possible? And the reason why this case is so absolutely shocking is because it was entirely foreseeable that that there's a cohort of girls who are connected to the first December girl who are at risk. And the reason we know that is because they were being questioned. They were around a person who's been radicalized. And in terms of the literature that's out there, the academic literature, there is really only one factor that can tell you whether someone's at risk or not, and it's called the Piper effect. And it's simply has your friend gone? There's an excellent report by Davos called The Edge of Violence. It's a very deep study over a number of different cases across Germany, Canada, UK, and that's what it says. It says if somebody goes, then you've got to watch out for their friends, because maybe their friends will go. Even Mr. Udin, who is the father of Shamima Begum, the first girl, he has publicly said he told the school and the police officers involved in his daughter's disappearance that they should keep an eye on these girls, the three that eventually left, because they were so close. So where you've got direct notice being given by parents, involvement by the police in these girls in school premises, then there is certainly a failure there to safeguard them, because the idea that you give a letter to the girls themselves, people you're questioning themselves, to hand to their parents. Well, schools don't do that. If your child's naughty at school, you'll get a text message because the school doesn't trust the kid to inform their parents that they're involved in something being naughty, or that they haven't done their homework, or they call the parents. But in this case, we didn't even meet the standards that schools will employ for detention, let alone counterterrorism internationally.
So I'll just move over to Andrew. Andrew, you were a counsellor at the time. So were you aware of the first case and also the subsequent cases? When were you aware as a counsellor?
So I've been a counsellor since May 2014. So during this period of time, I've been on the Overview and Scrutiny Committee since about 2017. And on a Children's Education Scrutiny Subcommittee since it was established, but that was more recently, a couple of years ago. And to be honest, nearly all of my information about these cases comes from external sources. So actually, probably the most informative piece of information for me was I bought last year a very good book called Guest House for Young Widows Among the Women of ISIS. And that's really the first time that as a counsellor I actually understood, well, I think I knew lots of stuff before then, but it was the first time that it was kind of like I had a neatly packaged explanation of the family's background and some of the issues. And I think this is one of the concerns that I have. I've been a counsellor for almost 7 years now. I'm getting my information from external sources, and we've never really properly debated these issues within the council and what we do about it, and how the girls got radicalized, and what was the responsibility of the council, and what do we do to stop it in future, and what were the lessons learned. I have seen some evidence within schools about internet access and sort of protocols being changed within schools, but a lot of pupils at secondary school level have their own smartphones, so we don't have any control over that side of things.
I mean, that book, Guest House for Travelers, that book's written by Azde Movavi. Yeah. She wrote that all by herself with no help at all. And what she did was to go and chase down these sort of examples of cases and actually speak to the family. Now, that is a solitary journalist with limited funds who's gone out to collect information that might be helpful to all of us, really, about the circumstances around this. An individual's done that. And we have an entire council, Tower Hamlets Council, where this problem has expressed itself in large numbers. And it's got a budget, I think, in north of 700 million, really, sitting in reserve slush funds. It's got a staff, and it has a problem with radicalization within its own borough. And beyond that, we are the 5th largest economy in the world. We still, I'm not sure after we do our accounts post-Brexit where we are, but at the moment there we are. And we have one of the most mature security services and police forces dating back to the 17th century. Our budgets have been diverted massively to counterterrorism for the last 20 years, but neither the state, the British government, across different governments themselves, complexion of government, nor the Tower Hamlets Council have managed to do or be as helpful as a single journalist in the course of 1 year.
Well, that's so it's never been brought up in Overview and Scrutiny. Andrew? Or
so when I've been in attendance, no. As a reminder, so also just to sort of, there's about 2,500 staff who work in children's services in total. I've had a quick look at it a couple of days ago. So, you know, there's lots of staff. I think the other point as well is kind of came up again is that Tower Hamlets Council failed its Ofsted Children's Services inspection in 2017 in April of that year. And all of these issues kind of came up again. And the council kind of got very defensive about it. And our attempts to try and find out more kind of got blocked. To be fair to the council, they did recover well. They put the resources in and things got a lot better. But Ofsted in April 2017 kind of found that, you know, basically some children were in danger from some of the practices of the council. So again, I don't think sort of lessons were learned from some of these early, I mean, there's slightly different issues and different causes, but I don't think we learned the lessons despite all the resources that we had. And I still don't think we have, because as we've just been discussing, our main source of information, certainly for me, has been a book that I myself bought last year.
I don't even recall a debate. I've been a councillor since 2018, and this issue's been bubbling away. Even when I became a councillor, it hasn't been fully debated in the council chamber. There hasn't been any reports to cabinet on this, as far as I know. It seems like there's a wall of silence over it, and some people were hoping that when Shamima was allowed to stand trial in the UK, that a lot of the facts would come out, but it seems we've been denied that, and it looks like we'll have to be much more proactive. So we're going to go into a break now. After the break, we're going to discuss what could Tower Hamlets Council have done, or other public bodies have done locally, once it was discovered that the girls have left school and gone abroad. So join us after the break to basically discuss that second section. What could we have done after we found out that Shamima and her friends have left for Syria? Thank you.